So many content creators are unoriginal. They regurgitate other people's content and they don't say anything of substance. I'm seeing that a lot now with this TikTok ban. Too many people are just saying the same thing over and over again, explaining what the ban is, but most people at this point know what the ban is. So they're not adding anything of substance to the conversation. There's a couple of things I've been thinking about. Now, bear with me because I'm still not well, but time is ticking. And if I wait until I'm well, the ban will pass. There's a couple of things just on my mind, and I was not saying no one said it because I just don't. I have not heard anyone say it. So maybe add something. From my understanding, any ban that gets implemented would be, it would mean that you can't update the app. So that begs the question: if you leave the country, so if you leave the USA, can you then update the app and then it'll give you another year or something of service? I'm wondering. That's a curious, isn't it? Because obviously the most obvious example then is can you just go over to Canada or Mexico, update the app, have a little holiday, whatever, update the app while you're there, make sure you remember to do it, and then maybe you can continue using it. That's an option. The other thing I just popped into my head just now, just before I did the video, really, it was a case of what about people who have accounts who don't manage to let's say it gets banned, you have no way to access your account, but your profile will still remain active. What happens to those people who don't want their account active? Is there a way for like email support, like TikTok, and just say like I want my account deleted? Because again, it's a strange situation because let's say you don't want it because it's like almost being remembered after we die. It's all immortality. So although you can't create new content, everything you've done will still be seen around the world if your profile still exists. So that's interesting. And most people at this point, a lot of content creators have done thousands of videos, like thousands. I don't think it's hundreds at this point. Many of us have done thousands of videos. So even if there's no more content creation coming from like American users, their content can still get spread around the world because the content still exists, and the algorithm sometimes produces things like randomly. I'll get likes on videos that are over 2 years old, so that's more. It's certainly plausible that your content will still get seen. It just won't create new. Of course, for the rest of us, it means we don't get insight into the USA, so our information becomes limited. And America, without being rude, America then potentially becomes a pariah because the world doesn't know it exists as much. That's quite scary. I've seen a few videos just now. Like, so I didn't want to create content. I'm really not well. I was literally just burning up 5-10 minutes ago in bed, and I've struggled to sleep. So for me to be here doing this, I just feel it's important to have a conversation piece. I saw someone talk about the fact that they've lived in China for a bit and it's very suppressive. You could only access certain social media things. It's very internalized. You couldn't access things like YouTube and things like that. They used a VPN, but it kept going off and on. It was so unreliable. So when they returned home to America, friends and family at the time just thought, that's crazy. How the hell do you live like that? And yet, because it's an authoritarian state, how can anyone live with so much suppression? And the same user has said, this is exactly what America's going to be looking like in the very soon. And that's scary. Then I saw another user talk about, well, they say they got inside information, but you've got to be a bit like, with content creators, they like to exaggerate shit. A lot of them don't. I struggled listening to them, to be honest, because they kept like enunciating every bloody word. And I thought, I can't listen to you talk like that. If you can't talk like a normal human being, I can't listen like a normal human being. So I have to go. That's especially when I'm not well. I got no patience. So unfortunately, I didn't get to finish listening to them, and it wasn't really that great. So effectively, just to sum it up a little bit there, they were saying about when Trump comes into office, he would likely stay the ban. So he would defer the ban for 90 days or something if he can. Like, there's a possibility. Because they were saying they know someone in the White House, whoever that's true. And then they said about, this is where it's ridiculous. Why would you give out this information? But I'm just saying what I heard. And it said apparently Donald Trump's negotiation tactic is to sort of strong arm China and say, if you don't sell us ByteDance like TikTok, then we will implement 60% tariffs on all your exports and things. And I thought, yeah, this guy's a cowboy. This is ridiculous. This is where America's biggest problem is, and that lent so heavily into the things I've been talking about over the past few years. Like I've got a spiritual book coming out this year, and it's going to be no here or there to the people that are going for a TikTok ban. I also have other manuscripts I've been working on, and they're fully done. I just got to edit the hell out of them. So they're going to each one is probably about 3 months of edit to do. One is another one on self-help healing, as you can see from my books. One specifically is about society and culture. which I was really excited writing, and it's going to play heavily into this TikTok ban. And it wasn't a priority for me, but now that I'm aware of how significant this is, it stands to reason maybe I need to get it out sooner. So it may be out this year, maybe out next year. It may be the next book after Spiritual One if I try to, if I make it a priority. We'll see. God damn. But anyway, I remember a specific chapter from one of my books. All my books have like got significant chapters contained within them, and it's all about the personal healing journey and looking at society and the interactions we have and how everything affects us. So one of my books specifically, Heal Your Mind to Free Your Soul, had a chapter based on I don't know how profound it is to this point, but it's society and culture. So it's like a little fragment, really, of what I've actually going to expand heavily in an actual book. It was me touching upon it at an early stage, which has obviously made me start thinking deeper beyond that. But this book I wrote in 2022. Each book's got a year. So every book I released, for instance, I think A Father's Daughter was released in 2019, Heartbroken Daughter 2020. Then I released Lose Your Mind to Find Your Soul 2021. Heal Your Mind to Free Your Soul is 2022. 2023 was Inspire Your Mind to Enlighten Your Soul. And then 2024 was Find Your Peace to Save Your Soul, I think. So many titles, it's hard now. And now this year, very soon, I'm going to have my next spiritual book. But I just want to read a little bit here because I think it plays into what I'm saying, and it starts a conversation, you know. Because I think America, before I even say it, really, I see America. No, when I say America, I don't mean the people, although there is always with the people. But you know, we're talking about government here. They behave like the only child, so they're spoiled as hell. Everything has to be America's way or no way, and they're actually gonna make themselves like a social pariah. They're going to be outcasted around the world because you keep bullying everybody. No one can trust you. And there's so many problems with the government and politics. And I think and a lot of other leaders are going to struggle to sort of feel a connection to the leaders in America. If you can't trust someone, how can you have an honest conversation? There's no point someone saying to your face, yeah, we're going to do this. We're going to do this. You got our back. You got our back, man. And then the next minute you're changing your mind and you're talking behind their back, slagging them off and saying all this shit. It's like, how can I communicate with you and you're not even being honest? Its integrity is everything, and you don't have that in America with leadership. It's actually quite frightening. And then someone else said another video that was saying about like senators. There's no terms, so someone could be a senator for 50 years. It's like that blows your mind, isn't it? Because if corruption existed 50 years ago and a person was involved in that corruption, they can continue that corruption until they die. And even then, you've got the next wave, the next wave, the next wave. That's crazy to me. That's absolutely wild. American politics is quite frightening, really. They don't learn anything. And I think I'm going to touch on it here in the book, for instance. American politics is very young. So you'd think they want to learn from history, really, from other cultures and history, how to create a balanced society. It's very much like the Roman Colosseum. You see this, and as soon as you see this in the TV shows, for instance, when it talks about Rome, not just in TV shows, of course, if you know the history. I've seen it in some TV shows, and I'm like, that makes sense. The Roman politics was corrupt. We saw it even in the movie. I think it was Gladiator. They said, I don't know the exact phrasing, and they said the emperor will give them blood, and the people will love them for it. Effectively, you're entertaining them. As long as you give them entertainment, a distraction, and you feed them, the people will be subservient. And that's the problem. So, the issue is TikTok is entertainment. You're taking away their entertainment. All of a sudden, you've got a problem because you're not going to be able to control your people if you can't control. If you're taking away the entertainment, what else is there? And that's what they're not realizing because they got so cocky. They think they're controlling everything. I'm not promoting uprisings or anything. But if everybody just banded together and just said, "Look, I'm not putting up with this," and every single person walked a step together, that's an immense amount of power. People have power. They just don't realize it. I can't remember what I wrote here, so I'm just going to read it. This is my book, Heal Your Mind to Free Your Soul. So, as you can see there, it's in my image to the right there. That's 2022. Yeah, 2022. So bear in mind, this was a good few years ago now, nearly 3 years ago. Chapter 26, Society and Culture. Cultures can learn from one another, yet many are divided and unwilling to share and learn. The problem is that people can be stubborn. When I consider the USA, the issues are apparent from the outside looking in from the UK. America is a young country. It's comparable to watching teenagers. As a nation, they will make mistakes, and this society hasn't evolved into maturity yet. And that's not a criticism, but an observation. I love a lot about the USA, from their patriotism to their fighting for their rights. But there's also a closed minded attitude to the rest of the world. Most know nothing about the world beyond their own country, and they often consider the USA the only relevant nation, as evidenced by their sports such as baseball's World Series. I'm merely pointing out that the USA isn't the land of evolution, but an egocentric place requiring development. As a nation, it finds itself in a powerful position on the world stage. If it could unite rather than fight against itself and look towards the horizon by taking an interest in the rest of the world, then it would be a remarkable country. For any American getting riled up by my assessment, choosing to shout about not caring about the rest of the world because America is great, reread my statement. America is a fantastic place, but it's merely a continent, and the USA is a country which is part of planet Earth. Every country impacts each other. So closing our eyes to what's around us stunts growth and progress. By understanding different cultures and civilizations, we learn new tools and ways of living, which can and will improve the quality of life. I go on a little bit here about the healthcare in America. I don't want to sort of like detract really about from what we're really talking about here. Um, I mean, this here I think is relevant potentially. As always, one country leads and another follows. In this instance, the UK government saw what America was doing with their attempts to get people vaccinated. This was about COVID, by the way. Suddenly, free meals and travel were trialled in the UK to get people vaccinated. However, as with America, it didn't go well with people. Instead, there were protests and defiance. It beggars belief how far governments are from understanding the people they serve. How is that even possible? I'm good with psychology and analysing patterns in behaviour, and I couldn't help but wonder who presents these options as good ideas and they get approved. Offering incentives to have vaccines for people's safety and health seemed desperate, evidence of a loss of control and sceptical uptake on getting the vaccine. So governments think they are doing the right thing by offering incentives, but the motivation should be the vaccine itself. There should be no other incentive than providing something to save lives. People shouldn't need more than that. If they do, then provide education on what the virus does to the body. It's remarkable how far politicians are from reality. Most lack a connection or understanding of everyday person. Instead, they aim politics towards the elites and then seem shocked when uprisings occur. How can they be the people's voice and lead when far removed from the lives of those they serve? The mind boggles, and it's often hard to fathom how the world became the way it is in the present and throughout history. There's always been a trend of people in power having little regard for those they are supposed to protect and serve. It's as though power consumes those who attain prestigious positions. They lack compassion for people while stroking their ego, looking for ways to maintain power and control by aligning with other elitists. So the world finds itself in a mess. The pattern has repeated throughout history because genuine change doesn't happen. All that happens is a swap of leaders with like for like. But there must be people hiding in the shadows who wield power and dictate. How can cycles repeatedly mirror the past and future? Nothing changes apart from a face and a name. After all, money talks in a world and society consumed by greed and corruption. Sometimes less is more. If we strive for a life with less pressure on ourselves, pursue our goals, and be less on the corporate ladder, the money men would have less power and control to dictate lives. Liberation and freedom supersede any desire for fame and fortune to the sane amongst us. I often find it amusing how politicians think that the more they talk in riddles and don't directly answer questions, the more they won't notice. They believe we are gullible, expecting us to blindly follow them and not question their integrity, when they have no integrity. So most of us question everything. They're so far up their arses that they don't respect anyone but themselves. Hence, politicians offer fake smiles while doing everything they can to manipulate and alter our sense of reality. Most of us see through lies and corruption. Some go too far, chasing conspiracy after conspiracy. This is the fault of leaders who fail to lead by example. If people doubt and question, it's because the ethics and intentions of those who govern are never sincere. Respect gains respect. It's about time governments treated everyone as equals, not as dumb peasants and plebs that they consider us to be. I'd go as far as to suggest that many of us are wiser than those who expect us to follow their ineptitude. Leadership. Find the sense in that. The problem is that governments display power and attempt to dominate rather than be delicate and sincere with open dialogue. Politicians can play politics, but they're out their depth in public health matters, and people won't be fooled or dictated to no matter the country. People are waking up to the fact that they can decide their fates and make their own decisions. I don't want to go too far. We one way or another with this. Not sure how far we got left. Um, but yeah, I mean, when you actually look at governments per se, I think America's in a spotlight because it's made itself in a spotlight. It projects itself as the best country on the planet. So, of course, it puts itself in a spotlight, and other people will assess that for themselves, and they'll look on, and you start to see chinks in the armor. If they didn't project themselves as the best, they could probably stay in the shadows a little bit and be corrupt, and maybe the rest of the world wouldn't recognize it. But you make yourself front and center, all eyes are on you. And there's so much corruption in the USA, it's absolutely wild. It stems from law enforcement all the way up to governments, which stems off into other states, and it is a nucleus of chaos. We even see it, like, for instance, I'm in the UK, for instance, and I see it myself. Like, it's crazy. I'm not even there. I saw recently, I don't know recently, but last year I think it was, where Texas was having a standoff with the president. The Texas governor, I think it was having a standoff with the US president, saying, we're not doing what you want us to do. We control our border, we control our state. And I was like, Jesus, this is crazy. You're literally about to have a civil war here. But that's what it's getting to, And it's like, why does everything have to get to such a crisis? And like I said, eventually America's going to become a social pariah, and I find that quite surreal when you consider like how mainstream it's been on the center of the world stage. But the world will continue without. It doesn't mean it'd be better without, but it will continue without. And it'll just reach a point where many of us won't have as direct an insight into America, into the USA specifically. We'll always get it, of course, because people will post to YouTube and other outlets, and you see people, they take screens of that, and then they make a video of it on the platforms you watch. So me being on TikTok, for instance, with not a current American audience, we still get some information out, but it'd be hard to quantify the dates and clarify things like that. But yeah, it just seems surreal, doesn't it, that the government's alienating. But I've said in the other video recently that the USA, they just want to control everything, and if they can't control it, then it's not acceptable. And it's like, that is really, really petulant attitude. When there's other countries with technological advancements, you can't just say we have to own it out of the whole world. Only we can police this. It's like, yeah, but no one trusts you anyway. That's ridiculous. You're not even trustable. It's like you just pushed everyone out of the way, got the biggest military and things, and then you made yourself front and center. This is the government, of course. And then you just said, right, we are alpha. We are the top. Everything goes for us. It's like, this is outrageous. And I think people are going to start stepping back. The UK has been one of America, the USA's strongest allies. But even I would assume the UK has its own breaking point. Like, if trade tariffs are not good enough and they start acting out of character, it affects our trade with other countries as well, and it puts us in the spotlight of what are our principles. And eventually countries will have to detach from the USA because they're not behaving in a way that is conducive of a reliable and functional government. It's going to be a civil unrest and civil war, isn't it? So you can't get involved in someone else's civil war. But how the hell the government hasn't learned its lessons at this point when you go through history? Now, America, like I said, hasn't had a long history. It doesn't have a lot to look back at. But the trouble is, some people think they know everything. So even if you've seen it in history through the UK and through other nations, you've seen the uprisings, you've seen this situation where people get resentful. You can see it all the time where kings back in the old, for instance, they had all the food and all the wealth and stuff, and then you've got people in poverty, impoverished, and there's famine and everything. It's a bit like North Korea, I think, really, where the people don't have a lot, but those that rule live luxury. It's surreal, but you keep people suppressed enough, and they uprise because you can only push the people. We're not rats, and I think that's the trouble. They treat you like rats, and even rats bite, and you get enough of them, you can do a lot of damage. And I think you'll see that in any country in uprising when people get pushed back enough. And I think it's quite crazy in a country that it was so far in the technological race, for instance. And I've said it in this, I don't know if I said it specifically in this book or the one after. The problem with America is it grew too quick. And that's what I personally think. I think America the USA as a nation grew too fast. Their technology, their economy, their military, everything, rapid ascension. Their politics didn't fit. Politics didn't evolve at the same rate everything else did. So the corruption is rife and it's not fit for purpose. It's just not. From the outside looking in, it's absolutely crap. It's crazy. Yeah, I don't know, man. I'm just like, it's wild to me that this is even a situation. It's like, oh my god, this is crazy. And unless America gets what it wants, it walks away. And the world's a big place; it can cope without the USA. And I think in some instances, everybody has to band together. And I think just say, look, you can't have this. You just can't have a country doing that because they always get what they want. It's the same principle throughout life. It doesn't change just because it's a powerful nation. You treat everything the same. It's like if that was not if you take away the fact that the USA is a powerful nation, and consider the nation a child. If a child says, "I'm not playing unless you give me everything, unless you give me control, I'm not playing. I have to be the leader." You'd have to turn around and say, "You're just gonna have to not play. Then that's your choice because we're giving you the chance to play and join in, but it's up to you if you want to join in. But you've got to have to play fair." And America, the USA's attitude is no, it has to be our way or no way. And it's like, well, you're just gonna have to go and play on your own then. You'll have to. It reminds me if you watch Big Bang Theory, Sheldon. Put it in that context, it's always Sheldon's way or no way, and it's like that gets exhausting. Eventually you're gonna have to say, Sheldon, you're gonna have to go and you're gonna have to go and do your own thing because we want to have fun now. We can't keep living to your rules. And America, the trouble is, it's like you call someone's bluff, and you better have a backup plan. That's the other problem as well. So, like for instance, USA they can think they're going to get China to back down in whatever way. Let's say China just completely stays firm, because why would they back down? What incentive have they got to back down? They can do trade around the world. They don't need to rely on America, the USA. They don't. They've got enough countries they can make earnings from. It's ridiculous, and I can't see them giving up that leverage and that level of control to the USA. Because what does that say? That says we're inferior. There's no way is China going to act inferior to America, and I think it's important that countries don't. So it's going to be interesting how it plays out, because like if Trump does think he's going to be the hero because he's trying to talk like he is, I'm going to save this. That's one of his priorities. He's going to look really stupid if he doesn't. And if one of his ways to do so is to try and strong arm a nation, you better hope you can strong arm them then, because once you've really lost. You wouldn't say just lost their respect. You've pissed them off. You really, really not upset. I can't think the word now. It's like insulted them. To do that, you've insulted them. Your relationship's already like an issue. You've now dropped it even lower. There's no coming back. You want to be very careful. That's the thing. The USA needs to be very careful how they deal with other nations, because I don't think other nations are going to keep playing with them in this capacity. And it's going to be information's going to get silenced, of course. So the rest of the world won't know what's going on. But the problem with that is, what the USA, like the government, maybe the government likes that we won't know what's going on, but they need to realise that all we can go by then is what we last saw. The last thing I saw from the USA before the TikTok ban was a corrupt government, one that's an authoritarian nation who is looking to dominate and control, coerce, manipulate other nations to strong arm them to get what they want and be the bully in the playground. That's the last opinion I would see of the USA then, before it shuts that down, because you can't trust the news media. We've seen it for too long. It's always like biased. So that's what we'll think of at the USA. And I won't. If I'm saying it, I could assume other people are going to have a similar view of it. But that's quite scary, because why would anyone want to travel to the USA, for instance? If it's that corrupt, why would I want to go to a corrupt nation? That's the question, isn't it? I feel safe in my country. I respect my country. I like where I live. I don't have this suppression over my life. Why would I want to give that up to then travel to a country that you don't know is safe, because it's all corrupt on every level? That's outrageous. The fact that a nation exists like that is crazy. And they're quick to sort of condemn other nations, the ones that are absolutely chaotic. And we know who they are, the other superpowers. And it's easy to say, oh, they're out of control, they're nuts. But then you take a little look and you see it's not much different over there. They just play it different because they're good with their the media manipulation and things. They're good at presenting things in a different way to make it look like they're different, but they're just as coercive, and you've got to look at things from a different mindset. It's not to say the other nations are good, because we can see they're really not, but you can see that the USA government, as corrupt as it is in its own land, you can understand that they would manipulate and control and subvert narratives in other nations, and they will have influences on those countries too. So I don't trust the USA government at all. I'm not here to sort of keep going on about it. It's just because the time's ticking. It's the 12th now of January. TikTok ban's supposed to come into force on the 19th. I'm not well. It's I'd rather not do the video, but here I am. Look, my books exist. People can catch up on some things I've said in the books. I'm not sure whether, in all honesty, but by the time the ban's implemented, I don't know if there'll be more videos for me or not, because I'm not well, and I'm quite pathetic when I'm ill. I do. I get a bit self pity. Go heavily on the old self pity there. I feel like I'm dying in bed. I'm literally like ready to go. That's where I get. Yeah, but like I say, I got my book to edit, my next book to edit anyway. So that's where my focus is. But like I said, there's books here. You've got plenty of videos on the old YouTube, which I've shared enough times in my videos. And that's really where I'll keep posting anyway. So anything, I've done that for the past few months now. Anything that's got on TikTok's got on YouTube. So people wouldn't, if anyone's interested in anything I've got to say or do, you're not going to lose anything. It's all going to go on YouTube anyway. So my content still stands out, So if I can get this up, let me see if it works. Hey, we're working. There you go. Technology is moving forward. Ain't that beautiful? So this is my YouTube channel. It's far more organized than TikTok anyway. So in terms of my content, it won't be any different. There's nothing I wouldn't say on YouTube. Like, everything I say on TikTok goes on YouTube. I literally just post to both places. I record the video. I don't edit anything. I just record the video, open TikTok on the desktop, open YouTube, both upload, boom, boom, boom. Same titles. And I do a little cover quickly, and then they go. But YouTube's far more organized. But like I say, my content isn't any much different. Sometimes I might create like a little shorter form video for TikTok every now and again, but it's not necessary. And I think you'll find that there'll be plenty of content creators that are happy to stay on YouTube. I'm not going on Meta. I'm not supporting Mark Zuckerberg. Shove that shit. I never liked Facebook anyway. It's like I always saw that as like a soap opera, gossip central shit. I don't like that. I've never been a big fan of Instagram. I think it's just promotes celebrities all the time. As soon as you join Instagram, the first thing it says is to follow this, follow this. It's always the same celebrities. So obviously they've got millions, because you've got millions of people joining, and they're all showing the same faces. How is that fair? No, why not show some random faces of people that might have something in common? Make it fair. Nothing's ever fair. Same shit all the time. They just want you to pay for promotions, while the celebrities get everything for free. That's how it seems. But anyway, I'm not going on too much on that. But I won't be on Instagram and Facebook. I'm not really a social media person anyway. I like to just create, move on, not linger around too long. I don't want this video any longer. It's already been long enough. Hopefully it's been some sort of information though, because I do think a lot of people just keep regurgitating the same shit, and it doesn't add anything to the conversation. Hopefully I've added something, drawn some sort of level of awareness, really, open people's eyes a little bit. Okay, cool. Only my opinion, don't have to take it, don't have to get angry. Peace.